This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com. Welcome, and this is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is August 7th, 2020. This is show number 93. It's Friday, Nick, and hey, we got that magical number in that opens doors and makes things happen. You know what I'm talking about, the non-farm payroll report. Got released at 8:30 a.m., and what did it show?
Well, it showed a gain today of 1.763 million new jobs. So that's a big positive. And the unemployment rate actually moved lower to 10.2% from 11% in June. So overall, this is showing an improvement. Still has a long way to go from where we were in February, obviously, but definitely a sign of improvement. Things just keep getting a little bit better, and that's a positive for the markets.
All right. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now.
We have more geopolitical events than we know what to do with right now. So that's always the added risk. And last night you had President Trump, I believe, sign an executive order to ban TikTok US and WeChat US, and that will go into effect in about 45 days unless they are sold to another company. And I believe Microsoft and Google are in talks to try to pick up TikTok. So this is very popular with the kids. It's very popular with my own kids. And again, that was banned last night, so we'll see if that deal goes through. But again, more pressure, in my opinion, on China, and that's going to, put the China-U.S. relations, put a little bit more of a strain on them as we go forward.
Yeah, and well, as if they needed more of a strain, we got a showdown in the South China Sea, which is way, way overdue, in my opinion, because China has been pretty much seeking to take over the entire South China Sea, fishing, oil, energy, resources, the strategic body of water. And finally, the U.S., after the COVID-19, I think what's happened here, Nick, is China's become a pariah nation, and all these countries have banded together with the U.S. and telling China, no, it's over.
Yeah, it looks that way right now, and we'll see what comes out of this going forward. As you all know, we have a phase 1 trade deal still in place. I think phase 2 is not really in the cards these days, but we'll see what comes out of this in the next few weeks. That'll be very, very important stuff. I'm a technical trader, as you know, so I'm always watching the money flow, and I still see money flowing into these markets.
Hey, so speaking of geopolitical, we also got a 10% tariff on aluminum imports from Canada. I mean, didn't we just do this trade deal?
We did. We did that USMCA deal. It was supposed to settle all of this stuff, but apparently it did not. And now you have a 10% tariff on aluminum imports. So it's pretty incredible. I'm going to do a little research on this weekend, because anytime this happens, you do get some opportunities out there, and that could be a big positive for some trades. So I'll be looking a little bit more in depth into this tariff, 10% tariff on aluminum imports from Canada, and we'll see what comes out of it. But it is rather incredible that every time you think that the waters are safe, something new is popping up here.
All right, so gold and silver, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about them. It looks like some type of pullback is underway. How long it will last, where it will go from here is really the question.
Yeah, I love gold and silver longer term. Short term, though, they're severely overbought. They've gone parabolic. Today we got a pullback. The thing about it is, every time we seem to have an early sell-off, by the end of the day, gold seems to move right back up. It's like those weevil wobbles that fall down. They get knocked over, but they don't fall down. It seems to do one of those type of tricks. So again, we'll see what happens today. We have gold, though, lower by about $25 in the futures, and then you have silver today, also a little bit weaker, down about 54 cents. That's almost a 2% decline. But overall, they've had huge moves, parabolic moves, and again, they're due to pull back at some stage here. Nothing goes up in a straight line.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, let's face it, they're manipulated. I don't want to get into the mechanics, how it's done. It all takes place on the COMEX. Some people call it the CRIMEX. Point is, the algorithms, they wait for these exact moments when the metals are overbought, and then they flood the markets with sell orders, paper sell orders, and then the prices go down, and then they close out their positions. And then 2 days later, the metals prices are back up. We saw this in '08 through 11, and we just started seeing it now, and it's all part of the game here, Nick.
Well, that's it. I mean, and that's why you watch the underlying trend. And the underlying trend in gold right now is probably the strongest trend in the market. So, you always stick with the trend. I'm not going to buy up at the highs, but on the pullbacks, hey, that's an opportunity in my opinion.
Yeah. The trend has not changed, and we're going to see lots more of this going up. And really, what is technical resistance for gold right now, right?
Yeah, there is none. There's no ceiling on gold right now because it's at a new all-time high on the futures. So when you look at the pattern here, all you have to do is get some backing and filling. You work off what we call an overbought condition. If that happens, then it sets itself up to go higher on the next leg. That's just the way things are. I mean, if you're a trader, what you want to think about is if you're hiking up a mountain, you don't just go straight up. You go up, you take a little break. You might even go around the cliff a little bit, take some views in, do some sightseeing, and then you make another move higher. That's the way stock markets work as well. It's the way the commodity markets work and the Forex markets. It doesn't matter. All the markets are the same. It's really just human nature. So we need to see a little break in gold here where it pulls back or retreats a little bit, and then it builds a base, and then you can go a lot higher.
Hey, and just remember the path up to the summit of Mount Everest is filled with dead bodies, Nick. Right?
That is true.
Hey, so finally, the Congress and the president maybe are working on a new coronavirus relief bill. Nothing is finalized. Everything's in flux. Basically, the Dems want to lard it up with all sorts of unrelated stuff. They're fighting over the $600 a week additional unemployment benefit bonus. And what is a politician to do here? What's a trader? Do we just ignore this? It has no effect. It's just noise. What is it, Nick?
Well, at this stage of the game, I think it is just noise. But what I would say is if you get this kind of next stimulus bill released, that's a point where you always watch for it's a key event. So you'd watch the markets there and you see how they react. But a lot of times markets will run up into events and then they reverse afterward. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I have no idea what these politicians are thinking, what they're doing. I looked into some of this stuff. It's so ridiculous. Some of the pork that they throw in these bills, it's just absolutely incredible. But that's politics, I guess.
Yeah, that is politics, and politicians can never see past the politics to the actual people that they're affecting here, or the currency that they're rapidly debasing and driving into the toilet, and so many other things that, but that's the way the system works, and it always has, and it always will. It might seem like it's more corrupt now, but I think it's because of all of the means of communication at our disposal, and particularly the internet, that just highlights and shows up the corruption so much more effectively than at any other time in the history of humanity, Nick.
I agree 100%. I think you're spot on with that. In fact, we see it now where you can almost find news out quicker on Twitter or on one of these social media sites than you could find it out in the mainstream media. So I agree 100%.
Yeah, and one thing I enjoy is when I come across people who consider themselves well-informed progressives, which really, as it turns out, my way of thinking is it's an oxymoron. There's less and less well-informed progressives. They don't know the most basic events taking place, like Obamagate. They're clueless. And they don't know that Cuomo sent thousands of people to nursing homes who were infected with COVID. They don't know any of this stuff because MSNBC et al., they don't talk about it. Fox talks about it a little bit, somewhat, but they're never going to watch Fox. I mean, whatever happened to the idea of getting conflicting views from all sorts of different sources, and then you kind of make your own opinion? That seems to have fallen by the wayside here.
Yeah, journalism in itself now is really just a biased job. I don't think we're seeing a lot of credible reporters leave mainstream media and actually go into more of a freelance type business because morally they just can't do what they're doing any longer. And again, it's a sad state of affairs, but I guess the country and the world has to go through this. But we're at that boiling point now where you just don't get accurate reporting from the mainstream media. And you know what? It's showing in the ratings. I mean, people are not watching the mainstream media. I have in my area, I mean, probably half of the people I know have canceled regular television. They just have the internet now, and they'll stream a movie or something, but nobody's really watching this stuff any longer. And they've just poisoned, any kind of objective reporting.
Well, you can only be lied to so many times, and then you're going to react one way or the other. Whether you make a right decision or not, you're going to turn off the lies. And that's kind of where we're at now for sure. Anyways, so the bottom line, Nick, is the market trend is still up.
That is the bottom line. The market continues to climb the wall of worry, and the trend is up. The Russell 2000 today is up almost 1%, whereas the other major indexes are flat to negative. So when I see money going into the Russell 2000, that represents small cap companies in the United States. That's a bullish undertone. So again, markets are still holding up pretty well as far as I can see.
All right, we'll leave it at that till Monday, and make sure you go over, take a look at inthemoneystocks.com, Nick's site with his trading record, the Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, at Kerry Lutz, and send us your comments. We read them all. There's a couple that I've got that we'll address next week, Nick. So the email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. And Nick, have a great weekend. We will see you next week.
Sounds good, Kerry. Have a great weekend.
And so concludes another episode of Daily Market Wisdom with Master Trader Nick Santiago. Be sure to go to his website, inthemoneystocks.com. Don't forget the Twitter feeds at ITMS and at Nick Santiago 01.